I got to think that that as well as pleasing fans who are there from the beginning, you wanted to make some new fans with the latest record. And so, is your audience getting younger now? Or is it just us guys that are getting older that are still coming to the shows? Is there a new audience catching on?
Yeah, there's been lots of.
Yeah, when we came back into the reunions, I think the original thing that struck us all was that the audience was really young.
Yeah, and they couldn't have been listening.
Well, we expected to see sort of the old faces because, especially in Toronto, you develop the old faces. But playing in Toronto, you do see a lot of the same people at every show, and it was just like, wow, who are these people? And like things that people had told me over the years that it had really grown, and it was a record, and the records had been passed down from older brothers to younger brothers and sisters and stuff, I think was true, and I think that's moved on. The downside maybe right now is that we don't seem to be getting hardly any radio play, and that makes it hard.
Still,
to reach. Yeah, that's just become a real closed door to bands like us, I think. So
why is that? Is it just because the industry sucks so badly, or is it?
Well, I think it's been sewn up really badly. I think there's a sort of a corporate edge of radio that didn't exist when we launched Shakespeare My Butt, that allowed us in Toronto, and I think in places across the country. In Toronto, we had 4 singles that were sort of as they go, top 10 singles off of that album, and I think across the country maybe a few less, but still
but people are still hearing it. Yeah.
In '92, we were on the Toronto main sort of alternative station. We were the most played Canadian band on their playlist. So for that to happen now for any band, I mean there are bands getting play obviously, but for that to happen to that extent for any band, it's just
But it's the same. It's the same in every industry, every cultural industry, and every industry period. Is that like 2005? There's a sort of a corporate gobbling up of all the mom and pop stores, record stores, like the big box chains. I mean, it's no different in consumer goods than it is in music. Like they're becoming smaller and smaller venues.
Right.
There's only a few major corporate faces on everything, and other than things like campus radio and I mean, not even like there used to be pirate radio stations when way back when we were doing it, and that doesn't seem to be happening as much either.
No.
So it just I think it's just a lessening of avenues, and we constantly talk about we stepped through a door in 1991 that was open for a brief period of time, and we were sort of lucky. Like we worked really hard and we had some really good stuff to say, I think, but like we also happened to be in a we're born right at the right time because we got in that door, and independent music had just sort of exploded in terms of like you could make your own CDs, and sell them from the stage, and you could and it's like there were all these opportunities. Like Steve said, if a DJ in Toronto on the Edge decided they wanted to play you, they could.
Right.
Whereas now we have lots of champions of us at the Edge that just cannot play our stuff because from the top down they're saying stop playing that.
Really?
Just stop featuring that because we know what you're up to, and the whole thing is basically programmed from elsewhere. So it's so depressing.
So how are people getting the word now? Is it mostly through touring, or are you still going out there to make fans and keep in touch with the fans and tell them what you're up to, or is there? I mean, I know your website is a great place to be, and lots of people visit that and stuff. So is it a combination of all those things?
Yeah, it's all of the above for sure. I mean, you do like Ron said, we have people in Toronto that like us and will play us when they get the chance to, and word of mouth, and playing live's always been a great avenue for us. So that's the main one. And I mean, word of mouth. One thing we did in Toronto that was fairly cool. We had a chance to we did a billboard in Toronto. That I think garnered some attention. So we're doing everything we can that's sort of not out of our price range to push it forward. And
but certainly that the narrowing of those opportunities as well has shown itself. Like it's a very what we're happy to accept now as a successful run of selling this disc is a tenth of what we would have been happy with in 1992 because that's just the way the figures are dictated across the board. Like everybody on Maple. Everybody on all these, not just indie labels, but all the major labels too, are selling like a tenth of the records they used to.
Right.
So certainly it's showing on the street, like because you'll come through town, like I mean even places like Winnipeg and Vancouver that we've played before a lot. Like you'll go through town and you'll really leave there with a distinct impression that not enough people knew we were even there.
Right.
So things like this are fabulous, like that they help us get the word out, because in a lot of towns it's just a matter of like trying to do the street poster thing and hoping people see you,
Right.
Apparently we're getting a lot of hits on LimeWire, so.
Oh, yeah?
So.
Congratulations.
So people are getting the music anyways.
That's good. And it also must help to have, I know that a lot of other bands sort of champion your cause, and you guys are great at helping out other bands, always have been, I think, at helping out other bands. And the case in point that I always think of is the Weaker Thans. You have such a great relationship with them, and John K. Sampson is always saying how great you guys are, and you guys are always saying how great the Weaker Thans are and stuff like that. So it must help to have that word of mouth and have sort of that community of people who can recommend you to their own fans and whatnot.
Yeah, because I mean, the great way that works is, I guess in the 97 or something, when I saw the Weaker Thans, or I heard the Weaker Thans for the first time